Hello, this is lesson 1, video 5 for unit 2 measurements. So in this video, we're going to look at how we use significant figures in calculations. So our first set of operations is going to be addition and subtraction. So if we add or subtract measurements, we have to keep control of uncertainty, and we use significant figures for that calculation. So our rule when we add or subtract is least number of place values. So this is how we report our answer to the least number of place values. So if we look at our first example problem here, this number goes out to the tenths place. This number goes out to the thousandths place. So when we do this calculation and put 560.1 plus 45.007, we get an exact number of 605.107. But we can only report our answer to the last or the least number of place values. So we look at it and see that both of these have the tenths place in common. That's our least number between the two. So we have to round this to the tenths place. So our exact number becomes 605.1 because that is the only valid answer based on the level of uncertainty. This instrument might not have had as many lines as this one. So we can only be certain that this one is the least accurate measurement. So this is the only valid answer for this when we look at significant figures. If we look at our second example, our first number goes out to the tenths place. Our second one goes out to the hundredths place. So when we put this in our calculator, 987.2 minus 2.45, we get 984.75. Well, our least number of place values is to the tenths place. So we have to round this number to the tenths place. So that 7 would be the tenths place. The 5 bumps that up to an 8, and we end up with 984.8. This example, the first number goes out to the hundredths place. This number, 45, goes out to the ones place. So we don't have any decimal values or anything after a decimal point there. So when we add these two numbers together, we get 123.01. Our last place value that's common is the ones place. So we look at the ones place here, which is the 3. That 0 does not bump it up, so our answer is 123. Go ahead and try this last one. You can pause the video now. Welcome back. If we look at this one, first number goes out to the thousandths place. This number goes out to the 10,000ths place. So the last one they both have in common is 3 numbers past a decimal. So when we put this in our calculator, we get 0.1245. We can only go out to the third place, the thousandths place. So 0.1245, that 5 bumps that 4 up to a 5, and we end up with 0.125. Our next little table, now we have 3 numbers. So if you would like to pause the video and try these and then come back and see what they are, that would be awesome. So go ahead and pause now. So if we look at our first one here, the first number goes out to the tenths place, the second one goes out to the thousandths, and this one goes to the ones. So we put this in a calculator, 46.1 minus 25.478 plus 5, we get 25.622. We would have to round this one to the ones place, so this one becomes 26. Here we have to the thousandths place, to the hundredths place, and to the tenths place. So our answer is the least number of place values, so it's to the tenths place. So when we put this in the calculator, we get 630.408. We can only have our number to the tenths place, so that 0 does not bump that up, so we end up with 630.4. This value right here, we look, we have hundredths, tenths, and thousandths. So we can only go to the tenths place. When we put this in the calculator, we get 115.789. And since we can only round, we have to round it to the tenths place, that 8 bumps the 7 up, so we end up with 115.8. And finally, our last one. Here we have 934. 934 is to the ones place. This one is to the 10,000ths place. And this one's to the hundredths place. So obviously, the ones place is where we have to round our number to. So when we put this in a calculator, we get 988.8564. So we have to round it to the ones place, so that 8 bumps that 8 up to a 9, so we end up with 989. Now, when you do these problems on worksheets, you do not have to do this. You don't even, well, I would recommend writing down your exact answer and then rounding it to the least number of places. This is just to show you how this works.